see the northern lights?
No, there wasn't.
It's not dark right now.
Yeah, so that was the thing. I mean, I saw the northern lights at 10 o'clock, which was like middle of the day. But not, I mean, it never got, the sun never went down.
But it turned green.
No, I didn't see any kind of magnetic resonance
Yeah.
thing, or radiation magnetic.
Recording in progress.
So were you in Iceland?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was so cool. It was so cool.
Did you do that circum?
Yep, the ring of-
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, cool. And you drove, how many
Yep.
days?
We were there for 8 days.
Yeah, I've heard that's about right.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was so wonderful. We got to see a lot of, it didn't rain,
Mhm.
except for one day. And it was the day we went to see the puffins, and so we got to watch them surf in the
Yeah,
wind.
yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful.
So I understood the puffins, and maybe this is only the ones in New Zealand.
Oh, yeah.
They go out and fish all day,
Oh.
and then they come back in the evening, and so the time to see them is in the dusk when they're returning
Yeah.
home from fishing. Is that what your
So
puffin experience
what
was?
we were told is that if it's sunny out, they're out fishing, you just won't see them.
Uh-huh.
But if it's windy, they stay near the
Oh,
coast,
wait,
they're
these
cliffs,
are puffins,
and,
puffins, not penguins.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
penguins, okay, I'm thinking about the blue
Okay.
penguins in New Zealand, okay.
Yeah.
Puffins.
yeah, these are
All right.
puffins, which
And-
look like little.
No, they're not.
No.
But, yeah, so do they, and they fish
Yeah.
during the day, they're not nocturnal and?
No.
Okay.
They fish whenever.
Can we,
Talk
I
about
think we
planning
could,
board minutes?
let's do the planning board minutes for the 11th.
Okay.
Because we, again, last meeting, there were only 2 regular members and an alternate there, so I think you guys were at the 6/11 meeting.
Yes, we were.
I was, yeah.
So we could do those, and then I think we'll probably wait till the next meeting to,
Okay.
when Nat comes and Hebe is back, to address the
So
6/25
6/11,
meetings.
yeah.
So 6/11, so,
Oh, yeah, there's today.
so my only question on this, and I wanna be sensitive to this, is, his concern around the, what was it, the seating. Is that not a minutes type of thing
Seating.
in front of Stella's?
The planning board has absolutely no jurisdiction over that issue, so.
Okay, so that has nothing to do with us, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
he was
really.
targeting me specifically on that one.
Oh,
Well, hold it, I thought the issue was they had to come back, they were
For
supposed to
site.
come for site plan, therefore we do actually.
Well, he
have
had
some-
oversight plan, but he was unhappy about the enforcement of it.
Oh, okay.
So, and I felt it was really not anything that needed to be reflected in the minutes. It doesn't have any bearing on anything.
Are they gonna come in and try to?
I sent them all the information that they needed and applications, and I have not heard back from them.
okay. Well, I mean, so you are the person who keeps the minutes, so that was the only thing I noted. I was like, oh, I mean, that seemed to be a kerfuffle, and I was like, and we didn't really talk about it. So I just wasn't sure if that was not a meeting, minutes type thing.
I didn't feel that it was. I mean, if you want me to put it in, I'm quite happy to add it in.
I think it would wanna be like under new business or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, just to say that he raised a concern about,
He was displeased about the enforcement issue at Stella's,
Yeah.
is what I would say.
that's all it was. Or he voiced a concern. If-
Well, he wasn't happy,
No.
he was angry. I think displeased is a moderate way of expressing,
Okay.
you know, how he was feeling.
Okay,
It was more than a concern,
yeah, okay.
yeah, I mean, we could use stronger words than displeased, but,
Yeah.
He
And was
did
David-
after the meetings send me an email and apologize for that. I don't know if
Yeah, well,
I didn't hear anything.
you know, it's,
I
it's
think,
what you get when you're in a public position, is you get not too many compliments, and you get a lot of people who feel unhappy, so
right.
it's totally fine.
Yeah, so I guess, I think just recognizing that it came up as a topic.
Yeah,
Yep, not a problem.
Is Nat gonna not be here tonight?
That is not gonna be here
Okay,
today.
so then probably we won't have,
I think we can do these, because I was there, you were there.
okay,
So I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of June
As-
11th as amended.
and I would second
You
that.
second it, all those in favor, aye. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
approved as amended.
Rich, what are the rules in terms of quorum?
We have a quorum.
I think we have a
Oh.
quorum.
Yeah, it's only 5 members.
There's only 5
board.
members, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yep.
I keep thinking.
Do we know if Phoebe's coming late, or?
No, Hebe is not going to be here.
Oh, she's not, okay.
She's been working at a dog show today and is just absolutely exhausted.
Well,
There we have.
there we go.
I'm
I've
glad
not heard anything from Dave Kahn.
Okay,
What's that?
I've not heard anything from Dave Kahn.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't been here in a while. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully, he's okay though, right?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay,
He was at the select board meeting.
good. Okay, good. All right, good.
I guess the other question I had is, have we heard anything from town council regarding?
I have not heard
potential
anything new
litigation?
from him.
You have not heard anything?
I have not heard anything new.
Okay.
Can we reach out, see, just so we can get some closure?
I reach out about once a week,
Oh,
and he has been trying to get working with the opposing council and
okay,
the schedules, and
okay. So there
and
hasn't
then he's,
been,
our council is also going out on maternity or paternity leave, so it may become more difficult to.
okay.
Well, we should ask them to pass it on to
To-
somebody
yeah.
else.
Oh, sure,
It's
will be.
not like, it's such a
Because there,
technical deal that,
right, because there hasn't been any position, no decisions have been made regarding the survey or anything like that, right? Right now, it's just, everything is in limbo, there's no.
We're
we-
in
we have no-
limbo pending the outcome of
Right,
the litigation.
okay. And so there's not been any position about whether there is gonna be or is not gonna be use of the survey?
Correct.
Okay. All right. All right, so nothing right now?
Yeah, we're just in limbo waiting.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, so
And then once that's done, then, once we have a direction, then we can discuss the survey,
Okay,
or discuss what to do with the survey.
okay. And I would agree with Vicky that if he can't.
I'm sure it will be passed on too, because that's typically how they handle that,
Okay.
but, I'll try again tomorrow to see if I can get hold of him, and then, you know, if he's not there, then somebody else will step in and.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get it resolved so that we
Yeah.
can move on.
Move on and, you know, do some work around that.
Yeah, because we still have, you know, the housing master plan chapter that we were working on, which
Yep.
presumably we wanna go back to that
Okay.
at some point. I think
Yeah.
the other thing that we wanna discuss at some point, probably next meeting, is exactly what do we wanna look out to be getting accomplished this year? And specifically, what do we wanna bring to the voters at town meeting?
Okay.
Um,
well,
So-
we're kind of backlogged because Matt's lodging accommodation has been under discussion for quite a while.
Yeah,
And then the conversion thing too, so I mean.
right,
I think we should try to finish those.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then if, you know, we wanna go forward, I mean, we've got drafted language for this cottage thing.
Mhm.
You know,
Oh,
not to say that it's perfect language,
Right.
but, you know, and maybe,
That's what this is the drafted language.
well, there's some that was
There are a
useful
couple
for
towns,
New
it
London.
looks like it's
Yeah.
under review, I don't know, it's hard to say, these are,
Yeah, it's other
just marked as
towns, yeah,
drafts.
yeah, and we may, you know, yeah, I mean, it's a structure that, but you know, well, anyway, I guess we're talking about the minutes, so
Yeah.
are we not gonna talk about the minutes of the 25th then?
Do you wanna do a vote just on the,
I made a motion.
You made a motion,
we,
you seconded
we
it.
voted on it,
It
we
was
accepted
voted,
it,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As amended.
And the 25th, we feel like we don't
Can't
have
really
enough
do.
people.
I
We
wasn't
only
here,
have-
you weren't
Right.
here.
Yeah, okay,
So,
Okay.
we can
yeah,
hold off on that.
yeah.
Well, let's, I guess let's get back into 4.46. And we have a new version, 6, I believe it is.
And I have paper copies.
And can you bring up put it up on the screen, is that possible?
Yep. Hold on just a minute.
Do you guys want copies?
Yes.
That's the same as,
If you wanna get through with it.
All right.
So I think where we were, according to my notes, I believe we were at the end of, we were in the second page, at the end of limited expansion. But if you want to
Oh, there.
review any of this,
So we were saying, I just want to try to capture where we were at the end of the
Okay.
conversation. So limited expectation, this has to do with the 15%. And what I think, I remember the conversation to be is that, and I'm gonna use my words, I'm not saying that other people said these things, but I'll use my words, that there's questions around the 15%. And there was a beginning conversation about, is this, can this 15% be applied in perpetuity to any, current or future expansion? And we discussed that it might be that we tie it to something, a date, that was set by the passing of this
right,
article.
correct.
Is that language there now, or is it noted anywhere?
I don't think it is, and that was one of the things I picked up on. I believe on the first page, under D, capital D,
Mhm.
2, little a, paragraph A, that we wanted to say the maximum number of residential units shall not exceed 1 residential unit for each 750 square feet of gross floor area existing within the structure at the time of town meeting 2026, or whatever we
Right.
wanted to put in there.
Okay.
The question that came up on that was, what happens if you have a building that was built after town meeting?
So then-
it becomes, you no longer eligible for,
No. So let's say there's a house built after that town meeting and it's 1,000 square feet or whatever. No, sorry. That's why I thought it was attached to 15%.
there were two things, the 15%, the concern was that if there are subsequent conversions,
Right.
that you could bump the building out over and over and over again.
Right.
And so you're tying the 15% to that, to a particular
Point in time.
point in time.
Right,
And, but the concern also is if you have a building that was built after town meeting,
oh, right,
then you could, and you would not be eligible for any of that because it had no area before that.
right. So I think that's a really good point. So I think then that maybe what it is, maybe what we say is 15% based on that date or original construction, the footprint at original construction. Because you're right, if something is built afterwards,
I wanted,
I mean, the intent of the very first sentence in 4.46 is that the intent is to encourage preservation and adaptive use of existing structures.
structures.
Now, I happened to look up Hanover's rules on, they were more looking at barns, old barns, and they actually set a date of, it had to be an historic barn, and they set a date of 1955, if it was in existence as of 1955. I don't know whether we're really, whether it's pertinent to be looking at buildings that are being built today
Okay.
and converting.
but with a lot of this ordinance has been in here since 1989. And so, you build a building and it lasts for 20 years, and then somebody decides to convert it.
You wanna be able to apply these rules to that situation.
Right, this is not just,
We're
I
not
understand
writing
you
it.
trying to prevent somebody from building a brand new building and then say, oh, now I'm gonna convert it.
Yeah,
But,
but if you said as of town meeting 2026.
Right. Then a building is built in 2027, and in 2045, somebody wants to convert that 2027 building. The problem would be is the size of the existing structure in 2026 was 0, because the building wasn't there.
Right.
So if we're thinking of this as adaptive reuse of buildings within the town of Lyme in perpetuity,
Perpetuity, yeah.
then I think we have to have something that deals with historical, like, at what point are we saying that this is the size of the structure, which would be setting the date to be a date when it passes. And then subsequent buildings are based upon their original construction, or it would be based upon the approved site plan or permit or whatever of the original construction? Is that?
Yeah, I mean,
Because like,
What if they just have a house and originally they construct this and then they wanna have the sunroom and the mudroom and.
Right.
So then is it to the existing house that doesn't include the sunroom and the mudroom? Or,
yeah, there's
So-
some way we have to capture that. So is it
yeah,
the size of the structure, based upon permitted
yeah, I'm trying to
additions,
find,
or?
I got this so late, I did not have a chance to go through it really well.
where's this from, actually?
Where it was from?
It's 4.46.
This is
That's-
Nat's,
This is Nat's from, and it's the same one that we were looking at
Right,
like
but he's-
a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
right, he's-
Okay, all right.
yeah, and we had all of and he had all of those things that were dealing with site plan review, which
Yeah.
we decided that makes it too
Yeah,
long and
yes,
they
yes,
don't need to
yeah,
be
yeah,
there,
yep.
so.
Okay,
I'm trying to find in here where he talks about the 15%.
oh,
It's in 3, second page 3, limited expansion. Existing structure converted pursuant to the subsection may be expanded by not more than 15% of the building footprint. And I think that the reason is the discussions I heard is, or I recall, is that we really didn't want to be like telling people how to do, you know, this,
Right.
it's 15%. So
Right.
it's, by opening it up wide, we also were discussing, okay, but how can we protect a situation in which it just balloons? You know, it's redeveloped or reused, adaptively reused, multiple times, and then each time that person adds 15%. And then we have a building that gets larger despite ordinances.
Right, well, he's got this expansion as a one-time event, and shall not be allowed on subsequent conversions, so he's dealt with that, which is like the creep.
Where is that one?
Right where you were talking, next page.
Oh, this
This
extension
extension,
of.
yeah, so
Okay,
he's
so-
dealt with that.
And
Okay,
we
so-
need to add the word will, and will not
Yeah,
be
Yeah.
allowed on.
yeah, yes.
And so,
Alright, so
just-
maybe that's how it's dealt with.
yeah,
The first person to do a limited expansion gets a benefit of adapting it by 15%, subsequent ones don't? Is that what we're saying?
yeah.
Okay.
Now, what prevents somebody from doing a conversion and then also saying, well, my lot coverage, I still have some allowable lot coverage to put buildings on, so I wanna convert, but I also wanna add more. Can they do that?
Well, why wouldn't we?
We
if
have
they-
to allow more than one principal use on the lot, so we need to make sure we change that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's one thing we need to attend to.
Is what part?
There's a thing that says you can have only one principal use on the lot,
Okay.
and we need to change that so that you could have more than one building,
Okay.
you know, that are
Meet
kind of
again?
equal to each
We
other.
do meet again.
You know, it's not accessory dwelling,
I'm on this side of the
it's two
fence
different
this time.
David,
housing.
do you know where, the area where
It's
she's
the
talking
beginning
about?
of four, isn't it?
Oh, is this the stuff I said?
No, you weren't here, so they skipped on to,
Okay, is Ray coming?
he should have, he said he was going to be here.
Yeah.
You told me 7:30.
I told him 7.
Okay,
But we'll.
Okay.
We'll
just-
accommodate you in a few minutes, especially waiting for Ray.
Yeah, we wanna wait for Rick.
Yeah.
So there's, we now have 2 points up, so I just wanna make sure we're, Vicky's
Page
point.
22, 4.41.
Vicky's point, but then,
I just wanna-
Rich, your point.
So this was there should be only one principal building and one principal activity on a lot. And so we need to change that so that, well, it says, unless otherwise approved under the conversion provision.
What do we need to change it to say?
Well, I wanna make sure that the conversion provision says that you can have more than one principal
Right.
building. Cause it, you know, otherwise it refers to this thing that doesn't say you can necessarily do that. Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what's causing the problem, and we need to address that in this 4.46.
Okay, is that something we need?
Yeah, we need to have more than one principal use, that conversions might allow, well, if everybody agrees, might allow more
Okay.
than one principal building.
So can we, just like in red, make note of that somewhere on this document to say that, you know, we're not making a decision, but we recognize that we do have to make a decision and make a recommendation of language to address what Vicky is raising. And I'm not, it's not that you're not explaining it, I think I'm just dim right now, I'm not
Okay, well,
exactly following it.
Yeah, I mean, this, to me, is written is if you're gonna put all those units in one structure. And we
Okay.
wanna be able to have more than one, I mean, maybe we wanna have more than one, I'm saying, let's think about having more than one structure that's a principal structure on the lot.
Okay, okay, now I
If
understand.
it's pre-existing.
If we're doing these reuse things, I mean, you know, see, that's the thing, is that, you know, I'm thinking about, well, why not allow another one? I mean, you're saying you can do the house, and you can do the barn, and both of those would be part of the adaptive reuse,
Yeah.
but you couldn't build a new structure.
And is
Uh,
that
If
what,
you
I
had-
don't
if-
know.
If you had more
I don't know.
footprint.
right, is that what your
So-
question was? Cause I think that's, I think now I'm beginning to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, can somebody just expand their building?
Well, we're saying you can't expand the building more than 15% of building footprint, that's what is proposed.
Right.
But the question is, if you had even more building footprint than that, could you put another structure on it?
And my question is, if you have enough, if there are zoning rules that say you can have 10,000 square feet of a building or
Building
buildings,
footprint, yeah.
why would we say they can't?
That's what we're trying to get
Yeah,
at here.
I think that was my question.
Okay.
Do the rules currently allow?
Currently, yes, if you're going to do a conversion, there's nothing that says cannot build out your building to
Whatever.
whatever the
Requirement.
law allows.
Yeah.
Because I'm just wondering, was the 15% intended to allow for buildings that are on lots that already exceed the square
I
footage?
think so.
I believe that's what the intent was.
And so,
And as I read this, if you're doing conversion, the way this is written, you get the 15%. And even if your building could expand by 30% under the building footprint, you could only do 15%.
Oh, see, that's not fair.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
mean,
that's why I was asking the
think that's
question.
unintentional, and that's why we
Yeah.
do these things and review it,
Yeah.
because I don't think that's what anybody means to happen.
I presume that the 15% was for buildings that were lot strangled, or whatever, I don't know what
Yeah.
the term
Yeah,
is, but
yeah, yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah, they're at their max
Yeah,
at
already
their
for
max, yeah.
footprint,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is an extra 15%.
Right, and the way it's written, though, is that, an existing structure
Yeah.
converted pursuant to this subsection.
Yeah, you're right.
You were absolutely right, I didn't even read that,
Rich.
but I think you're absolutely right. So let's make a note and say that we need to modify the language, that the 15% is specifically for those buildings that are restricted by lot size allowance, is that the right
Right.
word, or restricted by?
Have already built out.
Or
their
are
maximum-
currently at the maximum building.
Maximum building footprint.
Yeah. So, and I think that is why we just have to make sure that it can't be 15 on top of 15 on top of 15 on top of 15
Right.
every time it rolls
Right.
over into a new person, because then we're gonna have a situation in which it's advantageous for people to turn over,
Yeah,
and then, we might get in a situation where.
and what is actually a conversion? If you've got, 15 units there, and you decide to break some walls down, is that a conversion?
Yeah.
To
Okay.
create 12 units
Yeah.
rather than 15?
Right,
Um,
and suddenly, and then you get your 15%.
And then you get 15% more.
Right. All right, so I think that's really helpful, that's a really good point. So let's make note of that, and then we come
Yeah.
back to it.
Yeah,
And maybe now would be.
and, I think let's break from this temporarily
Great.
to entertain Ray Clark's project.
Great,
Ray, we have copies of what you sent this afternoon, I guess.
Dan sent them, but
Okay.
Yep.
Can I
So,
Just review them, I'm not sure I've seen them yet either.
There you go.
Cool.
so as was indicated in, it's Dan?
Yep.
Okay. What's your last name, Dan?
Haedrich, Haedrich.
I'm going to introduce him, and Dan, when he moved here from Newfoundland to set up in Norwich, he did part of his apprenticeship, if you will,
In this building.
right in this building.
Oh, is that right?
I used to be as a carpenter, a mill worker.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Carpenter.
and very talented at that too, but I think before,
in here, it's like, what the?
yeah, deja vu or PTSD, I don't know.
System shock, I didn't expect it.
But yeah, Dan wanted, before becoming an architect, to sort of see how things were put together on the ground.
Good for
According
you.
to the plans.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you for being that kind of architect.
Yes, so he does know very well how things go together.
Good. That's helpful for those of us who are building it.
So, so yeah, I think we've heard some of this before. I think you identified correctly that our zoning ordinance does not currently allow.
Yeah, no,
this.
no path forward.
So, I think unless you've got new information, I'd like to kind of maybe give us a deadline here of say 20 minutes
Sure.
for discussion, and then,
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, just what I did obviously is, should be clear, is I took the proposed zoning for these cottage courts, that is New London, I think it's gonna be taking, Meredith, and then Lebanon. We just kind of fused them together
Okay.
and said how that applied to this lot here.
Okay.
So I just used a lot of the dimensions from Lebanon, for example, and just as a test case. So if you're curious to see what would happen.
Right. And so I think that's important to note that what I see here is a introduction to a concept of
Exactly.
configuring housing in Lyme. And we're using a lot that we know exists
It
as
does.
a, say like, okay, well, if this exists, what would it look like in some place that we're familiar?
Exactly, and how these dimensions work, and there's about, I did a check, maybe a dozen towns in New Hampshire that are gonna take this approach. So you wouldn't be the first, but it is coming in,
So-
it's coming in soon, so
Right.
it's not like
Being
you have.
adapted in a
In
lot of
parallel.
places.
Yeah.
And in Vermont as well.
Yeah, Vermont goes at it differently, but you wouldn't, this is very, as you can see, the stuff from New London is from January of this year, so they are still working on it.
So the leach field that you've shown would be adequate to serve the 10 units or 9 units?
Well,
It depends on the technology used, if we used a digester, for example, but it's all, this is really to see how something would fit in there.
Yeah,
And absolutely, as we saw with the Inflation Reduction Act, as they call it, there was a huge drive to improve municipal
yep.
systems throughout New England. So yeah, that could be a game stopper right there.
Mhm.
what does that mean, that
What
would
do
be a game stopper?
Possibly because of, I don't know how it perks down there, but that might,
I've heard it's very good, right?
oh
yeah, the soil
yeah.
is terrific there,
But-
but we don't know what the, I'm sure the capacity of the soil, it's great draining 7 feet of alluvial soil, but what we don't know is how many bedrooms we're putting on that.
Right,
Yeah.
and so I think, so for me, what I,
Work it backwards?
Yeah, well, I mean, if, honestly, if you were receptive to the concept even before, we'd start doing some test fitting just to make sure, and we'd come back to you and say, Dan's drawing showed a hypothetical, what do you got here?
there's 10, but yeah, it's,
but
you're
at the
exact.
same time, so let's say all right, so I think I see us getting a little bit ahead. So first thing that would need to happen is, there would have to be some changes to
The zoning.
zoning.
Yeah,
True.
Right.
yeah.
And so what I guess, being a novice to this, I would say that it would be difficult for this committee to develop language in time for anything like that.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
And so if there were language that was presentable, I think it's also important that this committee have time to be able to look at that language and do some internal correlations so that we don't find ourselves in the same situation as we're finding ourselves right now, where we have something that has passed that it does not have any internal validity.
Yes. So, yep,
And so, you know, I just wanna make sure that we don't find ourselves in a situation where all of a sudden we see a petition going in front of the town that we haven't done this work before it gets petitioned.
right.
I also would say that I don't think that, because we have to do all this work and other work, that we would have time to develop the language to even begin to change those zoning. So if there's to be that kind of work, it would have to come from someplace else other than this committee.
Are you
Yeah.
suggesting that maybe we develop some language based on other towns?
I don't wanna overstep. I'm only speaking as an individual,
Yeah.
and I don't know the procedures of this committee. I only know the most recent event,
Right, which is, this lands on your,
and then we have to kind of retroactively fit it.
those are really good points. I can speak to it in a very generic term. So it's quite clear that New Hampshire has, it might have come from one of the regional planning districts, what I call a model, you know this term, a model zoning. So they've written a generic template for it. So if you look at Meredith and New London, some of it's word for word the same. But, I mean, your point about this taking time and due diligence, absolutely. But the starting point generally is you take that model zoning and then look at what New London's doing. You can see them shifting, like, okay, you have to be this far away from a wetland, we want this, actually, let's make them smaller. Then Meredith, I think, is 1,500 square feet max, New London's 1,200, so there's so much thinking that has to go into it.
Right.
And then you have to actually do what we did here, is take a lot or more and start testing it and see what you're gonna hit.
Right.
But
So, I don't wanna overstep I don't know if I'm saying and doing things improperly, so I wanna be careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's in the early phases, and, you know, we have put aside for the time being, drafting a housing master plan section to our ordinance. And, so we haven't had the opportunity to really start vetting anything beyond where we are today with the zoning ordinance. We actually completed a survey, and those results have not been reviewed by the planning board yet. So, you know, I think individual board members have their opinions on how things should go, but in terms of whether or not the board would support an ordinance like this or not, I don't know.
But we also don't know until we see something.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna see something, it would also need to be, I think it would be prudent that it also provide, when we see it, enough time that we can have the necessary conversations in order to make it internally, to correlate internally, so that, again, we're not in a situation where we have zoning that we can implement.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically, you know, what could happen is what might happen if somebody came in with the petitioned amendment, or for a project trying to use the petitioned amendment that was passed last March. They may find themselves not being able to do their project because the language was unclear. And so it wouldn't put you any further ahead, in fact, it puts you further behind.
Right,
So it's not coordinated. Go ahead, Vicki.
So I'm just speaking for myself. I was very supportive of what was going on at town, before town meeting with an amendment that would enable people to put more density in our Lyme Common area. And I look at this as just another tool that people could use to get the density where we want it. And so I'm very supportive of this coming forward, just on the outset, and seeing something like this is very exciting to me. I wanted to let you know that we did a look at the Lyme Common District to see where there was septic capability. And so this isn't the only lot, but there's some others that, that we could probably point you to if you wanted to see, oh, well, how would it work on those other lots? Because there are a couple that we found, but, by and large, it's fairly limited as to, because of lot size and soils, as to who could take advantage of this. But, that said, I feel as though the structure that we've received from you on New London is a very good start. And, clearly it needs to be modified because we don't have water and sewer here. Now, okay, so that's kind of my statement, and I guess if we have quite more questions from them, to them, I'll hold off.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with you, continue.
So when you were talking about a digester system, you're thinking about kind of like a tertiary treatment type of thing for this
Yeah.
lot?
yeah, so, I don't know if you've seen
So
any.
pre-treatment.
Yeah, basically, it's basically a mini sewer treatment plant.
Yes.
You can scale them
Yeah.
up or down depending. It is, not ideal. Ideally, you have a municipal system, but that would, if you were really pressed.
Well, we're not gonna have a municipal system.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't even get a municipal water system. So, which we did have, but now
No,
we
but for
don't.
an 8 to 10 or more unit development, it might be possible to have that sort of treatment system.
Yeah, a digester that sits
right.
there.
Can I just have a point, wasn't this the thing we were talking about the other day where the state pretty much regulates septic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, from my point of view, and I see something like this,
Yep.
I would share Vicky's curiosity and piqued interest
Yeah.
in hearing it, understanding that the number of units is gonna pretty much be dependent upon what the state says you can do with septic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I really don't need to ask any questions about septic, because you know what, the state's gonna tell you what you can do. How many units? The state's gonna tell you how many units you can have. Okay, so,
Yeah.
and so if it's like, hey, look, there's, what did you say, there's 10 units here, say? And that's based upon presumption of this, and then the state says, well, you can build this, and you come back and say, well, actually, it's 9?
Yeah.
Okay, but,
Yeah.
the number isn't so much of interest to me to hear about as much as, the concept of, what will I say? I will say a style or a scope, maybe is a better word, of construction that I think is what I've heard interest in the community. And
Yes.
also deals with some of the concerns that people have about development within the community in terms of, I could speak for hours about people's concern about you know, what it will do to school enrollment, but, so I won't bore you with that. But, you know, I think there's a number of things that are addressed here that the town would be interested to hear about. And from my standpoint, how I feel about it doesn't really matter, because it's gonna vote or be, you know, approved or not approved based upon what the town votes. So for me, I'm curious to see what the language would be, what impact it would have on broader zoning rules, how we can use an example to say, like, if people wanna see, like, okay, what would this look like in Lyme? Okay, we have an example of a place that maybe it could happen. Not saying that it will, but let's just say this was the place. What would it look like in that place? And then, you know, then turn it over to democracy and allow the town to, you know, make its interests known. But in order for that to happen, I think we would need the language, and we'd need to see it in September or October, is what I would think.
I think that's doable. You know, I'm reminded that I was, I think, the only person to do anything in our former senior housing zone district. And that was a provision that offered some flexibility, and it had a sunset to it. And I see this as being a trial balloon, and I wonder if you'd consider, whatever ordinance we come up with, doing it on a trial basis. I think every one of these should have a site plan review where you guys get to discuss it and say, we like this, we don't like that. It would have to have site plan review.
I think it would have to, because I think, what's that?
Yeah, I think site
Yeah,
plan
I think
review.
that's-
Because,
what they
and
do
also,
on that.
you know, butters and things like that.
Exactly. but
Because, I mean,
giving you a lot of latitude, but what about the idea of taking each one on a one-on-one basis? Or you try it for a year, and then maybe you get another applicant, maybe you don't. And then you get it's dissolved and you get to review the results.
Well,
I don't think
that
we
feels
do that.
an awful lot like spot zoning or
Yeah,
preferential
yeah.
zoning.
I did it
Yeah.
before.
have we?
No, we had a sunset on the senior housing that was triggered by a state law that we understood the state was considering putting the rest of our zoning in jeopardy, if you will. And so that's why the senior housing went away, is because of this fatal flaw that the state passed.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite sound like it's
Okay.
apples to
Yeah.
apples.
Well, I mean, I'd like to offer it to the town, if the town had the ability to say, well, in the Lyme Common District, there are probably only, I know the map you're referring to, Vicki, but maybe a half a dozen
Right,
properties
Yeah.
that this could apply to.
yep.
Um,
But you know what? That would, if each one of them had something like this happen, we'd make a difference in our housing, and it's where we want people,
Yeah.
is downtown.
Yeah.
And so so even if it's just for 6 lots in that district, I mean, you know, 9 times 6, be 50 more units, wow.
You know,
That'd be great.
our target market for these, according to Dan, are people over 50, by and large, single.
Yep.
Right, and that's based upon the size and the number of bedrooms and
Yeah.
things like that, and then,
It's
and you
it's
can
actually
expand.
based upon the market for housing.
Well,
You
that's,
know?
but here's the thing, I would also say it's another, there's also another group that I think is really in need, and that is young, single couples who haven't yet acquired
acquire the means by which to buy
Yeah.
a large house.
Yeah,
I mean, rent is atrocious,
And my kids aren't staying here, they've left.
yeah.
Well, I had a son that basically bought a condemned property.
Locally?
Yes, in Norwich. It was a, you know, nobody local would even list it, so it was like an out-of-town realtor. And a hoarder lived there, it was rat infested, and it also had one whole wall that was rotted out. It needed a septic system, 69, never pumped. So that had to be totally replaced, you know, needed a new roof. And, you know, and we couldn't even sit and have lunch there when he initially bought it. We had to sit outside. When we went in to work on it, we wore masks because it was so infested. So, I mean, that's what young people, and this is like, granted, he's young in the trades, his wife is a physical therapist, and she makes okay money, but it's not great, it's not six figures. And, you know, these are young people that grew up here,
Yeah.
that, you know, came back because they've lived in a bunch of places around the country and liked the lifestyle. But it was, you know, major. So it's true that demographic really needs to have some breaks in terms of the housing market.
Yep. And I see something of, you know, of cottage size being,
a starter home.
a starter home, or even if some of them were rental property, perpetual rental properties or something like that, where the rent didn't have to be $3,000 a month.
Mm.
Because the only way you're doing that, you might as well have a mortgage.
Mhm.
If you can't do a mortgage, then you also can't pay $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, being in the position that I was, where I heard everybody being concerned with development because it had an impact on the educational cost. Again, I won't bore you with all the details that I can with that, but if that's where their concern is, and we still have an interest in housing for people that live in the community that need to downsize, or people that would like to live here don't want a big property to maintain, but want to live in Apple Valley, or young couples, or even young individuals who need someplace to live in the area that, you know, might be, for example, one of the guys working with me, you know, renovating houses and doing things like that.
Or, you know, 50% of people get divorced, and both of those people can't afford to live
Exactly.
in big houses.
Good
So
point. Yeah.
basically, the big house gets sold, and then you got two people
Who
who
can't
need
find a place to
housing.
Yeah.
And, you know, so smaller.
Smaller is better.
Yeah, well,
We looked
Smaller
at
is
doing
beautiful.
development just for that market over in Fairleigh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for.
So-
For
So I think that's what piques my curiosity, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can.
Mm.
I don't wanna say how I feel about it in terms of supporting it or not supporting it, but I think it is a concept that I've heard echoes of in other presentations of housing solutions that I think are interesting. That if we can see it and we can bring it in some kind of cohesive and cogent and clear way that corresponds to our zoning, and we can bring that to the community is the one gonna be the one deciding.
Yep.
It's not gonna be us.
I would prefer not a petition amendment situation. I would prefer a amendment that would come so that the planning board could support it.
Right, and I guess that's what I'm saying.
You know, so-
What I'm saying is, it would need
That-
to come here
Yes,
by September,
Yeah, I think,
you know.
but my thinking of going, because someone wrote that model zoning, because I looked at Meredith and
Mhm.
New London, so
Yep.
whether it was, does Twin Rivers Ottaquiche work on this side of the river?
no,
No,
but
we're
it was
the lake-
probably regional
lake-
planning
Oh,
commission.
they must have written, because that's Meredith. and-
Renee's been at the last two
So-
meetings, and
Right.
I think we
unfortunately,
should-
she's not here tonight, so we
Yeah.
could have asked her.
Reach out to them.
I'll reach out to them and see who wrote that, because and the concern, I think is really valid, is that you need, when I'm looking at the New London, they have a conditional use, so
Yep.
nothing can happen without plan board
Board
approval,
approval, yep.
which is like your safety check, but we
Yep.
also, you know, being completely honest, you really gotta test this on multiple lots, like take the
Yep.
lot and say, hey,
That's
What would it
why-
look like
yeah,
here?
Yeah, we've
yeah,
got
get a
six,
planner
but-
down
And that's something that we haven't talked about, we've talked about the wastewater, and I would say that when we're reviewing it, while we're looking at what the state, you know, we depend on the state. I'm not sure where the state is on the wastewater system that you
Oh, digesters in New Hampshire?
talking about, but I certainly don't want the town to be in a position where the development is approved based on an experimental type system.
Oh, yeah,
Which then all of a sudden you have 10 units
and a failed system.
and a failed system, and, you know, 10 taxpayers coming to the town saying, you need to fix this for us
Absolutely,
because we can't. Now, the other thing we haven't talked about is water, and frankly, I don't know what we have for water, who controls the water systems that are.
Or whether this would be on that,
Because
I don't think
you're
it could
also
be.
going to be subject to, if you add
Right.
another 15 people or something to the system, that could change
You know, I
the
think,
water system.
I think, Rich, we'd
rules.
probably be at, depending on how many units we have the soil capacity for, I think we'd probably find that a drilled well would
yeah, better serve.
quickly pay for itself.
Yeah, you'd have your own water system
Yeah.
here, because
Yeah.
even with this number of people, you may need to do testing, or it
Exactly.
would probably fall under a
Yeah.
testable situation.
And Dan and I talked just briefly about heating systems, but I think this kind of cottage development would lend itself to geothermal.
Yep,
Mhm.
So
Yep,
that has potential. We'd like it to be as green as possible.
yeah.
so, I mean, that, but of course, none of those would be stipulations
Right,
of something
understood.
like this
Yeah.
development.
Can't
There's
be.
opportunity
They're
for it.
Just intriguing.
Right.
to us,
Absolutely.
that's all.
I think though that as we look at that, there has to be a place for, if you're planning on having a well, or if we're contemplating allowing zoning, you know, having zoning accommodate this, I think we need to make sure that the zoning allows enough space for individual wells to be put on the lots. I mean,
Wouldn't that be part of the site plan? Because I mean, I would think that
it
that
would be, but I think if we're looking at a test case.
Yeah,
You're not thinking individual wells, though, you're thinking about a shared
He's,
well?
he's thinking about a
Yeah.
shared
I
well.
think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think the wastewater is the one, your point about wastewater is
Yeah.
really sharp. That you don't want one, you don't want a system to fail,
right.
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's almost, what
Well-
they did in, sorry?
Up in Piermont, I mean, they solved a septic problem by having a shared leach field.
Yep.
Everybody's got their own tank, and that actually, I believe, is a community
They did,
system.
yeah.
And up
that-
on Thetford Hill,
Yeah.
same, they did that, but that's Vermont,
Yeah.
so.
Rusty's system
Right,
has not
exactly.
been covered yet.
Covered,
That's gonna be shared.
That, there's capacity there for several other houses
Uh-huh.
in that system. Now, they've had to modify the plans because the state said to take away those houses because they're not built. But the leach field itself
Has the capacity.
has the
That's
capacity
great, yeah.
for,
Well, yeah, just so, rather than getting into a mechanical digester situation, I mean, I wonder, because you've got 1, 2, 3 big open areas that could be used for leach field, right? As
Right.
well as recreation and
Right.
common
Right,
open
yeah.
space.
Yeah,
But
So-
that's why I think that, you know, that's not our problem to
No,
solve.
no, but it's just a way of thinking about it rather than having a mechanical digester that has the opportunity to fail. I mean, somebody would need to work
Right,
that.
so
mean,
I would
but,
make a
yeah.
note that if such a thing were to be presented, at least to this committee, we would probably turn down a, what is it called?
digester.
Digester.
But no, I think the more
Well,
interesting.
I don't know whether
No,
we
I wouldn't turn it down,
Okay.
Just the state has to approve it, but
Right.
it lends a complexity to, like, the long-term functioning of
Right.
this community.
But what's unique in Lyme's case, it sounds like there's a water district that's kind of partial.
There is, I don't think it has the capacity to to also provide for 10 more houses.
So we have the water district capacity, then we are on leach, as is all of downtown Norwich, and everyone knows downtown Norwich is a crisis, basically.
I
But
didn't
they-
know that.
But they were smart for those, there's a few condos in Tomahawk Village, and when they built those, someone said you have to have a secondary future leach field.
Yep,
So they've sort of planned,
Yep.
For obsolescence.
they plan for obsolescence, and it's astonishing, we won't get into it, but like the sewer lines are right there, but they're terrified if they come any further.
well, you know, so many people say replace in place is what you get for, you know, rather than having a backup leach area, which is acceptable,
Right.
so, I know, but anyway, yeah.
But I think what I'd like to do, I think going forward, I know you gave us, we're taking up
Yeah.
more than 20 minutes. I'll call the Lake Sunapee Regional Planning Office and just feel out who wrote that model zoning.
Mhm.
And, you know, I'll look at it and possibly that can be brought forward.
Yeah, I don't really care who wrote it, I mean, it seems to be, I just looked through it, I mean, does this have the 800 or square feet
So-
for the outdoor space?
Yes, I took the one, because Lebanon was the most refined and
Yeah.
had the most graphic area, 1,500 square foot footprint for a house. Here's our thing, you have to have a porch that faces this court,
Mhm.
parking has to be like crystal
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah, and I also wondered how you're the architect. I know you don't want people looming, you know, like, you know, such an enclosed thing, so you wanted to have the, like, step back for the second story. Is that, do you feel that's necessary, or for every building, or, you know?
So, what I find so, you know, left to my own devices, I'd probably do 2 or 3. Like, if we're gonna build these economically, we're probably gonna try to do, there's 9, so 3, 3,
So
and
3
3.
models, yeah,
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 we would definitely, the scale, to make these successful, I feel, the scale has to be pretty modest.
mhm,
And that actually that is baked into the New London, they said 1.5 stories.
yeah, well, 22 feet is
Yeah.
pretty low.
It's a cottage.
Yeah,
But
and why
I-
a loft upstairs, I mean, is that, you know, so when you say loft, is that just an open space that's served by, open stairs?
That's what so yeah, I'm doing a lot of these honestly as
Uh-huh.
ADUs, and generally, I would say my dominant market as a design professional is parents,
Mhm.
or really, Vermont's more amenable with their recent zoning changes to doing little clusters of like
Yep.
2 or 3 little,
Yeah,
and I'll do those for siblings, let's say. But we generally do 1 floor living,
right,
and then a loft for the kids, because they can scamper up there more readily.
I see, so that would be for if kids live there, they live upstairs.
Right, let's
And
say.
there's
we-
no bathroom upstairs, there's
Right,
just a single bathroom
That would be
downstairs.
like an 800 square foot
Yeah.
dwelling.
Yeah,
If we went to, let's say, 1,200 square feet, then we can comfortably get a second bathroom up there,
Uh-huh.
2 bedrooms. It really depends on how much volume we give it,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
ridge line.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think the thing that people are gonna be attentive to is the capacity of the house. So, you know, the way you affect capacity is bathrooms and bedrooms.
Yep.
So, obviously, there's a lot of conversation that needs to happen. The zoning can shape and put some controls in place so that there is some influence over how many occupants can exist within that space. Both by the number of dwellings and the size of those dwellings. And I think that all of those things can be, you know, are gonna be things that are massaged and discussed and then ultimately presented to the community to decide whether that is acceptable. And, yeah, so right now, we have what, 750 square feet is our ADU size, right?
Yeah, that's from the state,
Okay,
yeah.
and we've heard that there's a suggestion, there has been a suggestion to this committee that we consider something slightly higher than that. In the, I think 1,200 square feet is what I recall hearing.
Yeah, Hanover
That-
just went to 1,000.
Okay, that's good to know. So, you know, there are a number of questions that I think poke at other areas within the zoning. So that getting that document to this group to discuss, so that we can come to a consensus as to where the committee rests on the idea.
I mean, I don't wanna throw cold water on it, but it is possible that if this group will say we.
Don't want it.
We
Don't want
would
it.
like to do this or be involved, but at this point, we may or may not have the bandwidth to be able to get
Well,
it done.
understood, Rich, and to be honest, I've got capital, you know, the clock is ticking on the project, and it's costing me money whether
Right.
I'm doing anything or not. So I can't wait indefinitely for the planning board. So I think we have a cookie cutter approach that we know that David's identified, and it's basically limiting it to a 6,000 square foot, lot coverage.
Yep.
And that's a big building, one unit stacked on top of the other, and it's just an altogether different approach.
Right.
But we know that works, it's just not what I would like to do.
Mhm.
But I also can't wait too long, so if there's
Right.
not either a we're doing some of this on our nickel, obviously,
Yeah.
because we believe in it. But if we don't get it together in time, or you don't get give a good response to it, we're gonna have to abandon it,
Mhm.
and you will too, so.
Yeah, I like the idea. And can I just one more question? Do each of these lots have 150 square feet with at least 8 feet of depth to it?
Yes, so if you look at there's a house, and there's a little dash line around it.
Yep,
That's 1,500 square feet, so that's straight out of Lebanon.
Uh-huh.
So Lebanon's at each dwelling has to have 1,500 square feet. And then between each of those 1,500 square foot boxes, I put 5 feet.
mhm. Okay, but they talked about open space or private yard or something like that, and you know, that it was for individuals.
No,
It
there was,
doesn't have,
no, there was
this
like,
plan
wasn't there
doesn't
like
have that.
400 square feet or something? I didn't get that granular, because I just wanted to
Yeah.
throw this.
Well, it was
but-
actually 150
Okay,
square feet,
that's
it wasn't even
great.
that big. But
Okay.
I didn't know like how closely this conformed to the language you gave us.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, yeah, well, I don't think it's necessary really myself. but,
Yeah, no, I didn't want to
um,
get too,
Yeah,
I find this obviously really interesting, because obviously I do this,
right,
trying to squeeze things into Hanover
Yep.
every day, and it's like.
yeah. Well, yeah, so
To be honest, I asked Dan to do this, to run a trial balloon. I
Mhm.
haven't seen some of this, and so I
Oh, you
really.
haven't?
No,
Okay.
I said I'm really enthused about the idea of a cottage development. It offers some very intriguing ideas, but I'm not completely up on what the constraints are. So,
Right,
this is part of a
Shocker.
collaborative
right.
process. and
Well,
we'll
there's some stuff
see
I
where it
think that's
lands.
in the draft language that maybe we don't need, like the 150 private
Right.
area.
And
But
then
at the
there's other
same time,
times,
it may be, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so,
We'll work on it,
yeah.
yeah,
and we'll bring it back.
cool,
And,
thanks.
One thing I just, and I'm not a board member, so my
Yeah.
opinion doesn't matter, but stormwater control, basically, I see a lot of hard surfaces, impervious surfaces, right up at the property lines. And, having stormwater draining onto other people's property, especially where you have this parking going into, if the water is going into the,
Does,
and so.
because I know
some-
Lebanon does, you're not allowed to have any water go to your neighbor,
Yeah, and I think that's something that should be.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, look, I didn't see it.
Oh, no, I was wondering if it was in the Lyme zoning.
No, it's not in the Lyme zoning.
It's good practice,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we,
Jim Kennedy's very good at that.
yep, absolutely, he is fantastic at that.
Rich,
Yeah,
All right,
I just wanna make sure you.
thank you all very much.
no, I'm good, I appreciate it. I think it is very interesting, especially as we look at you know, the Lyme Common District. I mean, that, I think is where there's an emphasis on trying to put this kind of development.
I appreciate everyone's time, frankly.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, it's exciting, so thank you for bringing it to us, because, I mean, I think this is what we want to get to, is putting more people in the common area. So, yay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank
One
you.
of- just for,
Take care, good to see you.
consideration is, I know of another lot in town that's partially within the Lyme Common District that they would like to, or have talked in the past about doing is Record Ridge Farm. The new owners had talked to me about doing some sort of thing, but they would like to go further back than on their property that is not in the Lyme Common.
Mhm.
So some accommodation for lots that are,
Adjacent.
or not adjacent, but actually are partially in and have area.
How much of that isn't in conservation easement?
There's a fair amount around all the farm buildings, and so stuff way in the back is in conservation, but I forget how far the district goes. It narrows down and catches just about the barn,
Mhm.
and then,
Well, I am not that interested in expanding the district for in one
Well,
spot,
what
unless
I'm-
we were to expand the district in maybe some other spots.
well, my thought was, you know, make accommodations for lots that straddle, that are in multiple districts and allow.
Well, we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
right, that's just,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there as
Initial
a.
response is
Right.
skepticism,
I,
but
you guys will need to educate me as to the logic and the reasoning of different zoning preferences, you know, why downtown is preferential to something else. So I'd love to get history of that.
in your neighborhood,
Sure,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
don't know.
kind of like preventing sprawl
Okay.
and keeping people close to services so they don't have to drive everywhere.
services.
Yeah, like the post office,
Okay.
The school.
Well, the school,
Yeah.
how
Town
about the
office.
country
Country
store?
store, okay.
I mean.
All right, so that's why.
I don't have to get in my
Yeah.
car many days,
Right.
cause I go to the bank, I go to the
Yeah.
post office, I go to the. and
So
then-
the rationale as to it focusing on the plain, the common,
Mhm.
is access to post office, hardware store,
Yeah.
country store.
How about
things like that.
walking over and get your blood pressure checked? I mean, you know, there's the food shelf, there's the community, the parish nurses have blood pressure checks every
Oh.
Tuesday. I mean, you know, that is kind of where services, I think AAA meets there. It's,
Okay.
you know,
I-
so there's a lot that goes on.
All right,
And CCL has, I guess, another node of like
Yeah.
service provision, that's again in a different village, but.
Yeah. all right, I
Also keeps the traffic from going through town, because most people go south for their job, right? So they're using Route 10, which exists as a primary artery,
Mhm.
and we don't have people going on crazy dirt roads and,
Yeah.
you know, they've got good access to get to their work.
Yeah.
But it also helps keep the artery a main artery as opposed to
Right.
driveways, which then lead to decreasing speed limits and that sort of
How
thing.
about one day having enough people in Lyme Common so that we could have advanced transit service again?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be amazing.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
Yeah, so that's, It's kind
I hear the rationale,
Yeah.
that's just, I just formally hadn't heard what that rationale was, as opposed to, you know, somewhere along Route 10, I don't even know where the district, the common district begins and ends, but.
it's in the back of his own.
Yeah,
so-
Just as you start.
I know it's there.
Basically,
I just haven't taken a look at it,
Right,
and
yeah.
oh, okay, so,
Yeah, Grant Brook is basically the southern,
the southern, what's the northern side?
right up here, basically it's Creamery Lane.
David, wouldn't it be possible for, we just developed that nice zoning district map for the survey, I guess it was.
Yep.
Could you get a copy of that made that was like a 24 by 36 or something that would be
As
nice to
soon as
have
I
on
get
the-
cyan ink
So
from my
this is-
plotter, yes.
This is,
Yeah,
Lyme Common,
or send it down to
so
Nolan.
this is something, this is.
rural.
Might be cheaper.
All the way is rural.
Well, no, I'm waiting for, I'm waiting for.
Okay, I thought this was
WB
like a
Mason
5-year
to-
thing that, yeah.
To drop off a new cartridge of cyan
This is.
Yeah.
ink so that I can get the plotter back up.
Yeah.
I went to plot something and said,
Really
"You can't."
small. Like
Yeah.
it used to be
And
in
so,
the,
I ordered ink
Yeah.
and
Is that
Okay.
black dot?
I
I
think
delivered
it would be
all the other
great
ink
to have-
except that one.
there.
Yeah.
Because
Not
everyone
yesterday.
had a,
Yeah.
you know,
Good.
Oh,
they,
that is-
they had, non-conforming lots there
Right,
because
exactly.
they were in 15-acre minimum lot size in East Lyme, and so everyone was like non-conforming and had to go to the zoning board for every little thing.
Yep.
So we made a district to acknowledge that those people have small lots, and,
Yes, we do.
yeah, yeah, so that's what that's about,
All right.
yeah.
Can we get back to our
Yep.
discussion on conversions? 'Cause
Yes,
I would really like for us to
get through it.
get through it
Yep.
Have language.
and have language, and then we can decide whether or not we're gonna have a public hearing now or wait for other things before we do that. So,
Where are the sticking points right now, Rich? Where do you?
so we were chatting about this 15%.
We've agreed that it's building footprint, that's where the expansion should be allowed.
The building footprint.
Because it
Yes.
was, that was the things, it wasn't defined in the amendment.
Right.
And
And
that-
so this puts, a work, a dimension to what that 15% applies to, which is positive.
And that ties back to is it two? Is it A, at the time of application? Wait a minute, let me think about
Well,
this.
no, that should be at the same, should be the same limit that you put on how many units you get.
Oh, and
Right.
the limiter is one time only. That's what you were saying with the limiter on the
Right.
side? This,
Well, that's put in there,
yeah, exactly.
So you only get 15% expansion above what would be allowed on that lot.
Right,
And it's like an incentive
right.
to do this adaptive reuse or this building conversion.
Okay, and at that same time, I think it was at the last conversation I was part of on this, we kind of dropped the language that says, this is what you can use it for.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And so what we said is, yeah, if you're a place and you're landlocked right now, lot locked, and you're doing this conversion, you can go 15% of what you have over the allowed
Right.
size and use it for whatever is developmentally or what's appropriate for that type of development.
What's
Okay.
over the maximum building footprint for the lot.
Right.
and provided such expansion is allowed through site plan review. So in other words,
Yes.
if your septic doesn't make it.
You can't do it.
You can't do it.
Right.
Your parking doesn't make it.
You can't do it.
do it, yeah.
And it's in there, Rich. You're saying
That's in there, yeah, under 3 on the second page.
Okay. For created through such expansion shall not be used in calculating the maximum number of residential units. Oh, yep, okay. So in other words, the 15%. Can't be used to calculate the 750, the number of based upon 750.
Right.
All right. That makes sense.
And I'm still, the gross floor area is still an issue.
Okay, can you put that in red down below, gross floor area, just so we don't
So
forget that?
what is the issue with gross floor area?
It's not defined in the zoning.
Yeah, it is.
No, there are three different gross floor area calculations,
Yeah, I remember
and this is, just says gross floor area, it doesn't
Does it
talk about
include-
which one of those three. And so,
Oh, so we've got gross floor area, non-residential, residential, or senior housing.
Is that what you're referring to?
yes, and so those gross floor area does not have its, this doesn't refer to, when I.
Which specific? gross
So
floor area?
when I'm, if somebody says, okay, I want to calculate the number of units, how do I calculate the gross floor area?
Right.
There's no,
All right, so why don't we, is it as easy as us just referring to one of those three?
well, is it,
The senior housing one, well, are you saying we should collapse and just use one gross floor area definition for the whole zoning ordinance, or
no, I just,
we should take out the senior housing one?
Right,
Cause
that,
it's,
I would take out the whole, everything referring to
Yeah,
senior
yeah,
housing.
yeah.
all right, so let's make note of that,
yeah.
because we know that's something we need to do, take out the senior floor. And then we have two, there's gross floor non-residential and gross floor residential. And wouldn't it refer to whatever its primary use
Uses,
was?
yeah, why?
So if it
divide
was
up?
if it was a residential?
I'm fine with that, but, again, when I get asked questions.
Yep,
um,
so let's
You're saying it's an interpretation issue.
Right,
right.
So,
So
So-
let's be specific.
So we just say floor area created, okay, well.
So in number one, D 1.2, couldn't we put a reference there? That gross floor, commercial units will be used, for non-residential gross floor area,
Yeah,
and residential units, will use gross floor residential.
yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason, because there are two different calculations, and so, if
Yeah.
you say, well, I want to use the basement area that, has some living space in it, you would want to use a residential, but if you have no basement area that it has living area.
Right.
Then the gross floor area for non-residential, I
how
think it
about if
does.
we use the non-residential,
Just use it for everything?
use it for everything?
Doesn't matter to me how,
I mean, basically, they're converting, if
So
we're
basically-
looking at what the sample project was the Dow's Inn, that's a non-residential building, is that
Right.
correct?
Yep. And the basement isn't currently being used for residential, so even if it were residential, the basement couldn't count as gross floor because nobody's living there,
Right.
right?
right, it's not part of the living area.
Right. But say there was a basement, there was a facility that had a walk-out basement. And there was a bedroom in the basement, because it was a walk-out basement. Well, that's part of the living space.
Again, when you look at the different buildings in town, that, it does matter based on, what the building is, because yes, you could have a walkout basement, or you can even have, I've been in houses in town that have fully furnished or finished basements. And I would absolutely include that as living space.
I think it's all living space. I mean, what
Well-
is living space, that you can put your easy chair there and feel comfortable? I mean, I don't,
Well, it's finished. It's used for something other than storage.
well, I mean, so you're saying that my closet is not living space?
Well, do you use it for living or sleeping quarters?
Living, yes.
I mean, it's like where I put my clothes. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
gonna put my bed there.
But the definition says the floor area of a residential building includes attic, cellar,
I think it should.
and garage floor. It includes closets and stairwells, but does not include unenclosed
Is that,
porches.
is an unenclosed porch a deck?
Yeah,
Well, I think you could have like the porch on Lyme Country Store is unenclosed.
Yeah,
It's covered, but it's not,
living space.
there's no,
I see, so like your front stoop is not gonna
Right.
be living space.
But, you know, I guess the only thing I'm thinking of Dowd's Inn,
yeah,
you know, the size of that building is X. There's a whole portion underneath that we would not say is in any way part of their living space.
right,
And yet, if they use that as part of the calculation, and then base the 15% on that calculation to include basically this underground.
well, would you use it to calculate the 15% if you're looking at footprint, not floor area? You're only using it for calculating the number of units.
Yeah,
Okay, so I see logic, not saying whether I agree with it or not, but what I see logic in us, in saying that it's the, how we're using gross floor area to be based upon space being used for living. Because I don't want, no,
Well,
no,
it can't be
it
based-
doesn't matter what I want. I don't see logic in adding crawl space as part of gross floor space.
But if you have you can take Dowd's Inn as an example,
Yeah.
you have the restaurant portion.
Yeah.
That's not living space. But,
You see, I guess I would think that was living space, because there's there's things being conducted. Oh, here's an
well,
example.
again, I'm going by the definitions. One or more rooms in a building used by one or more persons for living or sleeping quarters. So, you know, is that, you know,
what
Eating is
definition is
living.
that?
that's
Yeah,
the
I would
living
say-
space.
I
On the next
would-
page.
Functional space, I would say, so looking over, how would you define at the Lyme Inn? They've got a conference room downstairs. That's part of their, I would say that's living space.
I consider it commercial space.
Commercial space, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
commercial
it's-
space. But I wouldn't consider their furnace room as living space.
That's where I'm trying to,
Right.
you know, get this, you know, when we say gross floor area, there are two different definitions.
right,
And trying to, you know,
Yeah.
again, it does not matter to me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I hear you.
It just, when
So-
somebody goes to make that calculation,
You need to know.
and they're
which
looking
one.
at that and say, well, what's the gross floor area? And then I'm gonna be the one having to sit here and
Yep.
right.
answer the question.
Right, and so that's what we're struggling with.
And they both seem to
wrestling.
say that there's at least 5 feet of height between the floor and the ceiling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So crawl
But-
space or like
Crawl
a knee
space.
wall would, you know, at
Wouldn't-
some point the knee wall doesn't
Doesn't
count as
count,
living
right,
space, even though you could use
But-
this as for
But,
storage.
I mean, a 5-foot crawl space is a generous crawl space,
Mhm.
but it's still a crawl space.
So you look at a lot of the older buildings, you know, that have the stone foundations,
Yeah.
doesn't have the full 8 feet that the state wants, but,
That's something that,
you know, I may have to duck a little bit, but you're gonna get the 5 feet out of it.
Yeah.
And,
So could we say, space that is currently being utilized for regular activities?
or
Right,
is,
No.
No?
No, and then, okay, so I'm looking at, if my basement has a quote mechanical room because my boiler is in a room and I can't see it when I walk down the stairs, does that make the rest of the basement living space versus if I walk down the stairs and the boiler's just there, is the whole thing not living space because the whole thing is the mechanical room?
yeah, and
So-
at my house, I have a back room in my basement that's walled off.
Right.
There's a water heater, the
Yeah.
pressure
Mine
tank,
too.
Yeah.
an oil tank that I need to get rid of, and,
Yeah.
so if anyone needs a used oil tank, I have one.
Everybody needs one.
And it's partially full, so you can have the oil too. Anyway, and then I use it for storage, you know,
Yeah.
is that storage you know,
storage
it's
regulations.
living, you know, is,
All right, so, just so we're not running up a tree on this
Well, we are.
unnecessarily.
Well, I think it is necessary to get this straight, because this is totally confusing.
Right, so, I think we just have to decide whether we will be more or less restrictive and bite the bullet on it, and be like, this is the definition, like it or not, logic or not.
or, you know, you can add a definition to either this section or the definition section saying this is how
Well,
you
Isn't this
define
the
the gross.
definition section?
this is the definition section, but it seems like we should get rid of senior
We
housing.
know that,
yeah.
And we should combine the other two.
I think you're right.
And I think we wanna keep the 5 feet and then throw away knee walls and in crawl spaces. And then, this floor area of the residential building includes attic, cellar, garage, and closets and stairwells,
It
period.
says in garage floor areas only if used for living space.
Well, you know, only if you, so if I have a workbench, does that mean I'm using it for living space? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know, what makes a
Or
living space?
you have to have it as, you know, set up as a man cave to, you know,
Yeah.
in one bay of the garage or a she shed, however you want
Yeah.
it.
Oh, so it has to be insulated and all that, so some
Right, well,
houses
that's-
don't have insulation, so,
Yeah. Again, just asking the question, you know.
no,
how-
I know, it's like, what do we mean by used for living, you know, the garage floor area?
Well, let's look, again, what happens if we just look at the non-residential gross floor area?
Mhm.
It's the sum of the gross floor of each of the building's floors, measured from the interior limits where there's at least 5 feet in height.
That's simpler,
That's true.
It's simpler,
just make that gross floor
but then
area.
if somebody comes in and says, well, you gotta measure the attic, then,
You do have to measure the
Yeah.
attic. Every part of the attic that's at least 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
okay.
And you do have to include stairwells and closets, cause that's what we said,
Right.
and.
So why don't
Yeah.
a halfway between could be making it non-residential,
Yeah,
but making it 8 feet instead of 5 feet. Because then it is feasibly
Sure.
an 8 foot or a living space, as the state's trying to get us to.
A lot of older homes don't have 8-foot ceilings.
my house,
Okay, so, all right, yeah, so we say 8 foot ceilings or whatever the average height of the main, what is the average height of, living spaces?
no, I mean, so we're gonna have to go in and measure.
No, we won't, they'll have to say, look, you know.
Well, I've got a bedroom that's like this, and then I've got this other, you know,
Right.
my main living area, cause it's a slanted roof,
Right.
because there's only a part of it that would actually qualify.
So we'll
for
say,
8 feet.
so why don't we say the average height of first floor rooms? Then none of them will have pitched. And
No,
all,
I have a single story house,
and it has pitched ceilings?
Same
Yes.
here. I live in
Yeah.
a double wide
yeah,
and it's,
Yeah.
I have truss ceiling.
You guys need to get different houses.
well, it's,
You can't live in those houses.
yeah,
So,
yes.
so what, then in those situations, then it's the average
Well, why don't
height.
we just go to 6 feet instead?
Yeah, let's go to 6 feet. That's-
Instead of 8 feet,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
Let's
that's
go to
okay.
6 feet, do the non-residential, so we drop non-residential, cause that's gonna be our gross floor
Yeah.
area definition, and go to 6 feet and leave it there.
Yeah.
All right, so I
Gross
will
floor
put it
area.
down at the bottom in
Gross floor
red.
area becomes the sum of gross floor area of each building's floors measured in the interior limits of the structure where each is at least 6 feet in height between floor and ceiling.
Right,
And we get rid
Of
of
all-
residential,
and
we
this
get rid
one.
of senior housing.
yep, that makes it clear. Is that
Does that
helpful
Now,
to you?
now, why are you saying we're getting rid of residential gross floor area?
Because it's
Because-
too complex,
Yeah,
and we just wanna have one measure.
if we just have one,
No, but we're not gonna get rid of that definition in our definition section, are we?
Yes, so that we have one definition of gross floor area. Come on, argue us, because.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so there's no distinction between non-residential and
Correct.
residential, it's just gross floor area.
Gross
Correct.
floor area.
Okay,
Yeah,
does that affect anything else?
I don't think it's distinguished, I mean, because in this thing, it doesn't say which one you should be using.
No, I'm just wondering, are there
Other-
other places, citations of?
I think we'll have to do a
So
Google
word-
search.
Yeah, word search for the. in
Yeah.
the-
Gross floor area,
in-
non-residential.
Well,
Or no,
just,
residential.
just gross floor area everywhere it occurs in the ordinance,
Mhm. Yep.
and then see if it's affected in a bad way.
And, well, it's funny, because in table 5.1, it talks about gross floor area, and doesn't differentiate. It just says, here's the numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's-
like that,
Then,
yeah, I
then
think
we
it
just
simplifies
collapse
things.
down
Yep.
and, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just,
So that's one thing we can agree on, and it's
Yay.
easy to
Look at
do.
us go.
so you're just going to take.
Now we'll just need the other three, and
Exactly.
and then they'll
Yeah.
change.
That's right, exactly.
No, we can't.
No, we don't like that.
Yeah,
But I think,
that simplifies
Yeah.
things.
because, yeah, there's too many, like, if there's too much language, there's too many people that will take everyone as a lawyer, and no offense to lawyers, but. you get
Well, I
people-
know that, and I believe it was Jim Kennedy who had a huge problem with counting anything that was, the knee walls got into his, this was in Hanover calculation, and so Hanover had to change what they did because of that, but, I think giving it 6 feet is fair,
Yeah,
and-
And 6 feet is a little bit more than a crawl space.
Oh, well, 5, yeah,
Yeah.
5 feet, I mean, I can get into, you guys,
But
different
the
experience.
fire marshal would not approve an
Yeah.
apartment that was, 6 foot. And I don't know this, my daughter rented an apartment where I walked in, I caught my head right on the fire thing. So it had to be exactly 6 feet.
wow.
And anything lower than that, they wouldn't approve.
Did you take it off?
What,
The
no,
smoke
anything.
detector? You took it off, you ran right into it?
Oh, I just cleared that thing, right? And my forehead had this
Yeah.
like mark for about 2 weeks.
So let me just,
Yeah.
you're changing the non-residential, just a gross floor area, and you're changing the 5 to 6 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And
all
deleting
other
the other
references
two.
to gross floor area go
Delete
away.
that.
Yeah, that should make things better, I hope.
Yeah, so all I was saying is that fire marshals won't approve something below 6
You
feet
can't be living
for,
in space,
yeah, as a living space.
yeah. Okay, so, we were on gross, because we were in what section of this?
We were
Well,
talking
two
about
was- Well, we're
the
talking about-
750.
Well, I think we cleared that one up,
Yep. So,
yeah, and then we were still doing the limited expansion, that 15% of the building footprint and will not be allowed on subsequent, okay, floor area, because that has, and we should say, floor area, okay, that's, let's say, should we say gross floor area or floor area there?
Gross floor area.
Gross floor area,
And that's, let's make Dave aware where that is.
yeah, in
Page 3, second page.
three, we were talking about this.
building foot, wait,
No, so we're
I don't
talking
think you wanna
gross
change
floor
it
area.
no, we don't,
I
it's
don't
still
think you want-
footprint there. Dave, where was it referring to gross floor area that you were saying, that you brought this to?
Right here,
Going up to
Oh,
2A.
yeah.
Okay,
So that's hopefully solved that.
yep. Oh, there it is, yeah, so of gross floor area,
That's in where?
2A, on the first
D2A.
page.
Okay,
Highlighted up on the.
yep. And then were we using, leaving that in as, the last sentence under A, or the last line of A is floor area existing within the structure at the time of application, or were we tying this to a town meeting date?
I would say town meeting 2027. Because there's probably been things that have been built
Sure.
so, I mean, so
Yeah, that's
it's the
when this
effective
is-
date of when we changed the regulation, I think.
But does that,
But then it precludes somebody who's built afterwards from doing this.
And then okay, only existing structures that are at least 5 years old, we have,
Right.
what's
So-
eligible for conversion anyway, so.
Right.
So,
But from whatever point we're looking at, so if we're looking at this
Um,
at 2040, and something was built in 2026.
right, so it's when it was built in,
I think that's where we were
We
saying.
don't really care, do we, when
well, that's the whole thing for conversion, for people to, that it is part of the,
it'll be, it would have to have the 5 years or the
Right.
Right.
plumbing.
And maybe it doesn't, maybe that part doesn't matter anymore because the language that this is only allowable to be applied on, on one occasion.
well, that's only to get the bonus.
Oh, okay.
You could still use that, without the bonus, you could then convert things to as many residential
Okay, so can you point me to the part where where's the
So,
date?
we have this here is only structures that are at least 5 years old, and then the other one is down here under 2A, where we talked about instead of at the time of application, it's like at the time that we adopt this.
Residential units for purpose of this subsection shall mean a dwelling unit or other unit intended for resident, whether or not it contains, may be.
I mean, I don't think we really care.
Let's,
I mean, it's at the time of the application.
Yeah.
I don't know that we really care to
okay,
limit it to.
if you're making it at the time of the adoption of the section, anything built after that, that has the ability,
To
is
be
eligible to
converted.
be converted,
Wouldn't be.
it would be a zero
Right,
floor area.
right. So I think that's what
That's
Rich
the
is saying, it can't be the date of adoption of the policy.
Right.
Yeah,
And I think it has to be based upon,
The time of application.
And I
either
think
the
that-
time of application, the time of purchase,
No,
no?
I mean, he can't keep track of
yeah,
what it was at the
that's a
time of
difficult
purchase.
Okay.
timeframe.
All right.
No, I think it's just saying at the time of the application, that's, what, I'm trying to think what somebody could, or how they could game the system by
Right.
using that, and I don't see any, yes, they could build the building out to, the maximum
maximum.
footprint,
Right before they did it,
and then do an application for
Right.
conversion,
and then they get 15%.
but that's,
But they would have had to, it would have had to been 5 years old.
yes, it would have.
Right. So so the game is, they buy this property in, let's just say 2025. They can increase by 2,000 square foot based upon their lot size, so they do that. They wait 5 years, and then they do a conversion,
Yeah,
and then, I mean,
we don't care.
at that point,
I mean, even, waiting the 5 years, you're allowed to build out to the maximum building footprint.
Yeah.
That's,
for everybody,
right, you're allowed to do that.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then if you want to do the conversion, I don't see that as
yeah.
an issue, because you should be able to, and we still need to go back and talk about that 15% limitation, because the way, I have it noted at the bottom of this, but the 15%, it still limits you say, you can't, if you're gonna do a conversion, you can't go out to the maximum footprint, you can only do the 15%. So even, let's say you needed 20%, and you could do that without asking for the 15%, you couldn't do it.
Why can't you do it now?
Well, under this
Right, so.
this
Oh.
language,
Right. Okay, so let's,
So we need to define why they're getting the 15%. They're getting it for
they're getting the 15%.
square footage, limited lots.
Yeah, 15% over the maximum building
Yes,
footprint.
it's
right,
over
which
the
is-
maximum building footprint.
right,
For the
so
lot,
let's,
yeah.
let's go to your red.
Yeah, I just have it kind of in some notes to,
Yeah, so right there, that part, I think is where we're saying we have to put that into the language.
right,
Yes,
All right, so the place to put that is in 3,
Yeah.
um,
Percentage.
limited expansion.
so is it like in a, like, where the existing structures on a lot, are equal to or exceed the maximum building footprint for
Well,
the lot?
it couldn't exceed.
Well, it might
Well, it could-
already.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because, get Dowd's in,
Yeah,
if it was on a smaller lot and it was built, well, Dowd's does exceed.
yeah,
They got a variance for the restaurant.
yeah. Okay, so I think Vicky's on the right track there.
So just-
Limited expansion, existing structure converted pursuant to
No, you
subsection.
have to say where, we're talking
Yeah, yeah.
about the situation where the
Yeah.
existing structures on a lot,
So it's limited expansion of buildings which are at their maximum.
no, on lots, which.
On lots.
Yes, it's limited expansion on lots with existing structures that
That.
exceed
Yeah.
on a lot that exceed the maximum building footprint allowed.
Right. And then, an existing structure, would you, is what you just said,
Just the title,
just the title?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would say.
Yep.
Okay, so we got that, I also have some.
Okay, so let's look at what David
Yeah.
has up
On
here.
lots, okay, limited
So the
expansion on lots with existing structures that exceed maximum footprint,
the maximum.
for the
building
lot.
Period, yeah.
yeah.
So
An
that's
existing
the
structure.
thing. So shouldn't all those be capitalized?
Probably.
Because site plan, site capacity review, yeah, so those things just need to be capitalized.
There it is.
Okay, and then I have a addition.
On probably is,
No, it's okay, but you can take out that exceed existing structures that exceed maximum building footprint for the lot.
I think D is okay.
I
Do you
think
think
it's
that's
okay,
okay?
yep.
Okay. On lots for the lot. All right, yeah, now I'm just gonna get silly, so that's fine.
No, I think that's good, we're about to turn in pumpkins, but I did draft some language that might address the allowance of more than one principal use and one principal
Okay.
structure on a lot.
Let's get that, but
Is that
Dave,
too
can we
late?
no, can we highlight the things that, so that when we come in as a group, oh! And then also on the definitions of
Well, that's-
whatever it is.
yeah, I'll,
Yeah. Well, I guess we didn't really do.
I have the definitions noted.
The-
so-
these other-
What about will not be allowed, so will is added, remember?
Oh, yeah,
So that should be in red, yeah.
Why has it got squiggles underneath it?
because it considered a passive voice.
Yeah.
Oh,
So they just want you to,
Active.
do we have brain capacity for
let's
one
do it.
more thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I was thinking about like a lot, being sure that there's something in this section that, allows more than one principal building and more than one principal use on the lot, so I just said this, and if you like it, then I'll say it again. Conversion may take place.
Where should he be adding this?
Well, somewhere, not yet.
Oh.
I mean, I'm thinking it goes up front on the second paragraph.
All right, so
And this is only pertinent to conversions, it's not gonna be pertinent to the whole rest of the zoning ordinance.
No, I mean, if we were to adopt this cottage court thing, clearly we'd have to say that you could have more than one principal use there.
Yeah,
So let's just do it in red, just so we have it.
Okay, well, maybe I
let's,
should.
let's.
So let's,
Let-
let's
listen
let
to
Vicky
it.
read it and
Yeah.
then,
Okay, so how does it, conversion may take place on lots in conjunction with construction that results in more than one principal building and one principal use on the lot. So it's just saying that conversion would be one thing that is happening on the lot, and in conjunction with construction that results in more than one principal building and one principal use on the lot.
Okay,
And I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but if we don't, then we need to change that earlier part of 4, because it says.
well, yeah,
we do it here.
and I think an attorney could argue for an opponent of a project that the stricter of the two would apply. So I think maybe we have to reference 4.41 or something to,
So let's just
Wow,
get the
that's-
language.
Well, how do we feel?
Put
Do
it-
we
I-
wanna have more than one principal use and one principal, building on a lot that has a conversion?
I think so.
Okay, great,
it's,
okay.
you know, if you have a house and a garage,
Mhm.
and you want to convert that into multiple units, both the house and the garage,
Yep,
you have 2 buildings.
right, you could, yep,
And 2 uses?
yes.
It'll be single use, but you have 2 primary
Right.
structures.
Let's
Okay.
say they wanted to have, like, I don't know, if my neighbors had wanted to have the office use and the residential use on the same lot, and, I don't know, for some reason, I mean, that's a situation where there would be both, 2 different uses,
Okay.
because that office was.
So
but-
if you convert a garage upstairs to an apartment,
Mhm.
and then convert the house, keeping parking spaces in the garage, that the parking spaces are an accessory use, and the upstairs is a primary use.
Okay, so, does that, so from your experience, does what Vicky is proposing in language make sense?
It does, and I don't think we need to change the language,
4.41.
in 4.41
We
because,
don't need to if we have something that corresponds to that thought here, which we don't have.
but it says, there shall be only one principal building and one principal activity on unless otherwise approved under, and includes the conversion.
Right, but the
So-
conversion doesn't allow it.
Right, so
So
putting
now-
it what I'm trying to,
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so-
Rich's concern is,
Leave
My
that.
concern, yeah, so
yeah,
we're good on that.
yeah,
yeah, I feel that that's,
okay,
by just adding it under
Under
conversion,
yeah,
you're approving it under that
Yeah,
additional,
right,
and I think what was voted on would allow both commercial
right.
and
Because they had up to
residential.
6 commercial units were gonna be allowed and as many residential
So-
units. So I think that's
So
consistent with
it's
the intent.
consistent with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
intent, so I,
Yep, so I was
think
thinking
we have
in
to
the
support
second
that.
paragraph that begins with if a use, and this
Mhm.
would be a new second sentence. So conversion may take place on lots in conjunction with construction that results in,
hold on a second.
construction.
Okay, with construction,
yeah, that results in more than one principal building and one principal use on the lot.
that's the wrong principle.
No,
Ellie,
Oh,
Principal is a,
Okay, is you,
yeah,
or ex-you,
Right, that's why,
former you,
former me,
all right, one more principal
use.
use on the lot. So it may take place on, I guess, and so conversion may take place on a lot, because we're talking about, these are all,
Yeah.
so it's not on lots, it's on a lot. Yeah, so that's just 9 o'clock talking, but maybe that does it for
Let's
us.
highlight that in red.
Yeah, and maybe we can look at it next time, because it
Right.
might not make any sense at all.
I said, I was saying to Rich, I said, I hope by 9 o'clock, I still make sense. And,
But I think that addresses the other thing we
That's
were
really
talking
good.
about, so hopefully that wraps up what we,
where did we get to?
we got those, yeah, yep. Yep,
Wow, good work, nice,
yeah, drafting by committee is hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else on the agenda,
I have one other thing on the agenda.
which is,
So the Regional Planning Commission sent this to the select board, and the select board said, give it to the planning board.
okay,
So it is a, they had gotten some grant money to, look at green stormwater infrastructure. And so they figured out 2 areas that are municipal properties in Lyme that could benefit from basically a rain garden.
so this is basically what they have up at Samurai Soul Food now,
What's that?
the rain garden. And they still have the lake, but now they have a rain garden.
What's a
And that-
rain garden?
It's a drainage basin essentially, that it's a void
Yeah.
that accepts water during a storm event. And if the water gets to a certain point, then it's piped out of it, because it goes up and then falls into the pipe and then goes away. But
Mhm.
otherwise, it'll just sit there
It's a
and then
wetland.
evaporate,
Oh.
Or infiltrate. So, and the rain garden usually has nice
Stones
wetland
and
plants.
Plants and stuff.
Oh, okay.
One of the
So-
places that they suggest is in this stream over here.
Why? Do we have a flooding problem or a problem?
There
No
was a
problem.
the person that owns the farmhouse, the red farmhouse.
John Bigelow.
John Bigelow, at one point had some concerns about,
Oh, flooding from that brook?
There were some pollutants, but that was, his concerns were that the previous owner of this property, when he was changing the oil in his tractor,
or just let it rip.
that he was getting oil in his pond that this
Oh.
drains into, and it turns out it was most likely just,
Road runoff or something?
no, it's, plant decomposition causes some.
So we're talking about
change.
Sandy Kelsey's old place?
Yes, Sandy Kelsey's old. But if the planning board is interested in championing this, championing, championing,
No, 9 o'clock.
then speak up, and the person who wants to take this on
Can
is very welcome to
it be
get the
empowered?
grants and talk to the select board about.
Where's the other, what's 183 Dorchester?
That is the Academy building.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, their map shows it right over the drop-off between the parking lot and Dorchester Road.
Wow, that would be a nightmare.
So can we talk about this next meeting?
If you would like to.
Or we don't have to talk.
Or we don't have to talk?
Well, so they're gonna, do they build it?
No, they got a grant to identify
Oh, I see,
places.
I
They
see.
used their grant money to identify the places, and then
Mhm.
so they're now telling people, we've identified these places that we think would be, benefit from a rain garden.
And if you'd like to do it.
If you would like to do it, here are some
Oh, geez.
sources where you might be able to get grant money, or if the town would just like to spend their own resources to do so, they're welcome to do
So are we saddling private homeowners with potentially having to follow through on these?
No,
signs?
the only 2 places are municipal properties.
These are both municipal properties?
Yes. And this has also been given to the Conservation Commission to look at.
I think that's a perfect job. for
I
them.
think that is a wonderful place for this.
That
to
was
reside.
my thought. I think Ben Killen decided not to send it to the Conservation Commission because he's the select board rep on the Conservation Commission.
And what was David? What was David
Yeah,
doing? Why didn't
he
back
wasn't
us
there
up?
at that meeting.
Yeah, right,
He
exactly.
was there, but, you know,
He just threw us under the bus.
Yeah,
well, I mean, it's
Under the water
pretty,
garden.
well,
I
good.
think it's, you know, perfectly valid
Yeah.
thing to look at.
Absolutely.
Well, isn't the backside of the common really a worse place, I mean, for drainage? Cause, it's draining on people's properties and,
There are some drainage issues
yeah.
back there that
I mean,
the state
I'm
has
just
addressed
thinking-
with
Well, they gave it to
storm
us.
drains, but then
Right.
it's now the town's responsibility.
Right, right, and so there, if we had rain gardens rather than drainage onto people's properties, that would make a whole lot more sense.
And I think it's the northern,
Yeah, Northern
Woodlands.
Woodlands.
I think they did a rain garden in there.
And they did the wild, whatever, front yard.
Yeah.
Pollinator
Yeah.
garden.
Pollinator garden.
Yeah.
But I think that incorporated a small rain garden to,
I've got one in my house,
Rain garden,
a rain garden. If a rain garden is a place where water sits,
yes,
accumulates, and then
Yeah,
just evaporates if
yeah,
it does,
yeah.
I've got one.
I've got one that's about an acre. It's called a swamp.
All right, I'm going to bed because
yeah,
Thank you,
tomorrow's
Alex.
tomorrow.
I'm gonna be under the heat tomorrow again. I was not built for this kind of heat.